Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta. We return again together to create beloved community through our actions and our words. I'm Frank Carl, and I'm happy to be the worship host for guest speaker Anthony Cruz today. In his own words, Anthony Cruz Pantojas is a queer, Afro-Boricua humanist, celebrant, chaplain, and spiritual director whose research and praxis concern Afro-American subjectivities, decolonial thought, and spirituality. We are also grateful for the contributions of music director Josef Patchen, faith formation coordinator Desria C, and pastoral care member Marika Bhattacharya, who need no introduction. And And we can't do any of this without all of you. In-person and virtual visitors are more than welcome. If you're joining us on Zoom this morning, I'd like to invite folks to stay on the call for at least a few minutes following the service so you can say hi to each other. If visiting in person, please fill out the blue card in the seat pocket near you. Either put the card in the collection plate during the offertory or give it to me after the service. The information will help us keep in touch with you and help you stay connected with us. After the service, stop by the common room for refreshments and conversation. We'll know you by your orange tag. Whether here for the first time or the 1,000th, in person or on Zoom, I sincerely hope you get what you need today. Here's what's going on coming up in our shared lives. The parents group will reconvene their meetings today in rooms 3 and 4 at 12:30. There will be a taco bar potluck. We hope all those who identify as an active parent who are looking for community and camaraderie will attend. If you have any questions, please see Ms. D, our faith formation coordinator. Later today, Anthony Cruz will elaborate on his reflection from this morning at our monthly humanist meeting. Please join us in person in the common room or on Zoom at 5 p.m. for that continued conversation. I forgot to turn my phone off. We'll get you out of here for kickoff for the Super Bowl. February 15th, this Wednesday at 6:45, at Sacred Heart Chapel, our partners at the Progressive Religious Coalition are hosting their annual celebration of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. with an amazing guest speaker, Dr. Eddie Glaude. With the AU choir and a scene performed by Augusta youth players, performing arts will help to make the event even more powerful. Because of this event, we will not have Wednesday Soul Circles this month and encourage everyone to go to Sacred Heart instead. Next Sunday, we'll be meeting and celebrating the more hedonistic side of love through the lens of Mardi Gras. It should be a very fun service, so I hope you will join us. Since we're celebrating Mardi Gras, we also will celebrate Ash Wednesday. If you're a UU Christian and have time in the middle of the day, we'll have a short Ash Wednesday service at 11 a.m. on February 22nd. For jazz aficionados, Wycliffe Gordon and his friends, including Owen Zilla's drum teacher, will be performing this Friday at Augusta University, Performing Arts Center, at the Maxwell Theater. For info, Google Smokestack, Lightning, and Wycliffe Gordon. And Global Race Unity, the offering today will go to Global Race Unity, who is going to fund the building of a statue of Martin Luther King in downtown Augusta. May we now fully come together this morning in the spirit of friendship and service to worship those things we hold dear. May we live the values we cherish.
It is known that it is the light of the chalice that reveals the way, not the chalice. And so we light this chalice, that which illuminates the past and ignites hope for the future. And may our collective light brighten the way forward. Ashe.
Let's rise now and embody your spirit to sing hymn number 196, Singer of Life. You may not know it, so I'm going to play it through once for you.
Hello, my name is Marika Bhattacharya. I'm a member of your pastoral care team. And is there something? Okay. And I represent the support that this congregation offers to those like me who have a mental health challenge in particular.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Desiree C. I'm the Faith Formation Coordinator, and I'd like to invite all of our young ones and those young at heart to join me for our Time for All Ages story time. You can come sit right in front. When it's your own, guys, when it's your own. Oh, do I? Hey, you don't want to come up here? Hey, sweet girl. Come here. Oh, Jimmy. Hey, baby. You want to come up here? All right. Yes. Good thing. Yes. 2 weeks in a row, there's so many. All right, guys. So this morning, we are going to read the story. It started with the Big Bang, and this is the origin of Earth, you, and everything else. All right? Here we go. All These are beautiful pictures in here. Y'all really enjoy. All right, this is Earth. We live on a bright blue ball floating in space. Our planet is full of humans, animals, and plants. And we all live together in a big tangled web. But it hasn't always looked like this. This is what the universe looked like a long time ago. Long before we were here. There's nothing. See? Nothing. No earth, no sky, no darkness, and no light. Well, not exactly nothing. In all that nothing, there's one small something. A seed that will grow into everything else. It's a tiny hot dot that holds the entire universe inside. And just like that, the tiny hot dot explodes with a big bang. But it isn't really a bang because there's no sound. The universe is silent. And the dot blows itself up like a bubble, but the space inside is still empty. Now it's time for the universe to fill up. Here's the universe. Well, look how much is happening. Stars, moons, and suns are spinning all around. Nothing stays the same because everything is moving all the time. Sometimes stars even explode. The explosion leaves gas and stardust behind, and pieces of ice and rock too. They go soaring through space in every direction. Nearest the sun, some of the gas, stardust, and rock sticks together, forming a ball. And that ball grows bigger and bigger until it is a small planet, planet Earth. Chunks of ice and rock keep raining down. When one of them crashes into Earth, a piece of the ball breaks off. That small piece of the ball becomes Earth's moon. At first, our ball planet is so hot that water turns into gas. Some of the rock melts, creating a core of molten heat at the center of the ball. Over millions of years, Earth cools down and a hard crust of rock forms around the hot core. Slowly, Earth reaches the perfect temperature for water to remain water. And that's how this planet becomes Earth. The sun is shining and the moon is set in the sky. It's time for something to grow down below. This is Earth. It has seas and volcanoes, even underwater volcanoes. The rest of the planet is empty. Water covers most of Earth, strong winds blow, and huge waves crash on rocky islands. There is no place for something to live. But then something does come to life, something that likes rough waters. It's almost impossible to see. It has no head, no eyes, and no legs, but it exists. Then one becomes two, and two becomes many, and this little bit of life changes and adapts. It becomes the green seaweed in the water, the sponges in the sea, and the moss on the rocks. Earth keeps changing too. The land is still bare, but the sea is full of life, and it's about to get more crowded. This is the ocean, a very big sea. Many fish and animals live here together. They all want the same thing, to eat and to not be eaten. There's plenty of food for the small fish, and as for the big fish, well, they eat the small fish. Sometimes one fish has special offspring, babies that can bite extra hard or that have strong fins, almost like legs. Those babies are lucky enough to eat more, and then they escape being eaten. Special offspring live longer, so they can have many more babies. Sometimes those babies have the same luck. They live longer, and so do their offspring and their offspring's babies. I'll answer just a minute, okay? The entire family adapts, and a new species develops. Slowly, Generation by generation, many of the animals in the oceans change. Some fish even develop real legs. The ocean is full, but remember the land is empty. The fish with legs can see land from the water, and they're ready to take their first steps. This is land. Trees and plants grow, and animals live here too. Some stay small, but others grow big, and some become the biggest animals ever, dinosaurs. A dinosaur's toe is as big as a turtle. Reptiles and bees fly through the sky. Starfish share the ocean with giant sharks. Sometimes it's hot, and sometimes it's freezing cold. In some places it rains, but in others it's dry. No matter what, the animals find food. They eat plants and one another, and it's a big tangled web. But suddenly, a giant rock crashes down from the sky. Bang! After the impact, gigantic dust clouds cover the sun. Everything is dark and cold, and hardly any plants survive. Only the small animals can find food to stay alive. Tough break for the dinosaurs. Their time is up. Now what will live on Earth? This is Earth. Millions of years later, the dust clouds have cleared and the sun shines. Trees, plants, grass, the big tangled web is alive and it's growing. New animals live here, including a kind of ape. Some of these apes leave the forest to live on wide grassy plains. They spend a lot of time searching for food, so walking on all fours isn't practical anymore. The apes adapt very slowly, but eventually they begin to walk upright on two legs. They eat plants and they eat meat too. They make tools out of stone, knives and axes for hunting, and they make fire to cook the animals that they catch. Eating cooked meat and thinking hard to create tools makes their brains grow bigger, so they get even smarter. Their paws become hands and feet. They lose most of the fur on their bodies. And these apes, well, they're smart enough to make plans and solve problems. They even talk and draw. Now they become a new species in the ape family, humans. It's time for something completely different. This is the new world humans are building. They travel all over searching for places to live and make a home. They harvest plants and they raise animals. Humans keep learning. They invent the wheel and the cart so they can travel even farther. They develop a written alphabet so they can learn to read, write, and share what they know with others. And after many years of traveling, inventing, and building, humans now live all over. They live close to one another in cities or far from one another on farms and islands. In all these places, they build. Roads, bridges, and homes are everywhere. And humans can do more than they ever dreamed possible. They dig up dinosaur bones and they dive to the bottom of the deepest oceans. They even fly to the moon in rockets and wave to the people back on Earth. This is Earth, a bright blue ball floating in space. We live here in a big tangled web. Humans, animals, and plants living together, and it all started with a big bang. The end. All right, now we'll be singing our song out. All right, now we'll sing out our children for our faith formation in the back.
I'll read portions of a paragraph from chapter 2 of Sean Lawrence Otto's book, Fool Me Twice, Fighting the Assault on Science in America. Title of the chapter is Science Political? At its core, science is a reliable method for creating knowledge, and thus power. Because science pushes the boundaries of knowledge, it pushes us to constantly refine our ethics and morality. And that is always political. But beyond that, science constantly disrupts hierarchical power structures and vested interests in a long drive to give knowledge and thus power to the individual. And that process is also political. The politics of science is nothing new. Galileo, for example, committed a political act in 1610 when he simply wrote about his observations through a telescope. Jupiter had moons and Venus had phases. He wrote, which proved that Copernicus had been right in 1543. Earth revolved around the sun, not the other way around. As contemporary opinion and Roman Catholic Church held. These were simple observations for anyone who wanted to look through Galileo's telescope. But the simple statement of an observable fact is a political act that either supports or challenges the current power structure. Every time a scientist makes a factual assertion, Earth goes around the sun, there is such a thing as evolution, humans are causing climate change, it either supports or challenges somebody's vested interest. Wishing to sidestep the painful moral and ethical parsing that their discoveries sometimes compel, many scientists see their role to be the creation of knowledge and believe they should leave the moral, ethical, political implications to others to sort out. But the practice of science itself cannot possibly be apolitical because it takes nothing on faith. The very essence of the scientific process is to question long-held assumptions about the nature of the universe, to dream up experiments that test those questions, and based on the observations, to incrementally build knowledge that is independent of our beliefs and assumptions. A scientifically testable claim is utterly transparent and can be shown to be either most probably true or false. Whether that the claim is made by a king, a president, a pope, a congressman, or a common citizen. Because of this, science is inherently anti-authoritarian and a great equalizer of political power. The scientific revolution has proven to be more beneficial to humanity than anything previously developed. By building knowledge, we have been able to double our lifespan and boost the productivity of our farms by 35 times. With careful observation and recording, we have been able to give children to those who were barren and to the fertile the freedom to decide when and whether to reproduce in some states. Our science now influences every aspect of life, and it has freed us from a life that was, according to Thomas Hobbes, a war of every man against every man, solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Each step forward has come at a price of a political battle as we continue to refine our knowledge of the way nature really is, independent of our beliefs, perceptions, and wishes. For it, we must also refine our ethics and morality and assume more responsibility as humans. Inevitably, This is uncomfortable because the process compels us to give up, alter, or somehow intellectually sequester many comforting notions that are often profoundly powerful because they are most deeply rooted in awestruck explanations about the wonders of creation, the specialness of our identities, our history, and the possibility that our spirits may somehow live on after death. So I ask, who helps define your reality? A Neil deGrasse Tyson or a Jerry Falwell? As we benefit from the rigors of scientific exploration in our pursuit of beloved community, we must recognize that scientific progress requires intellectual and financial support. Similarly, our church's affirmation of science and truth requires intellectual and financial support from us. Please give as you are willing and able to support our mission. Ushers, please come forward.
Today is International Darwin Day. Across the globe, we pay homage to his legacy of naturalistic inquiry and intellectual ingenuity. As a free thinker and cultural studies scholar and practitioner, I often think about how we might extend Darwin's inquiries to work at the nexus of the natural, sociocultural, and the political. Recently, I have been wondering about potential contemporary interlocutors with Darwin to shed light on how we might steward a more interdependent world where we are more attuned to our evolutionary process towards greater care and liberation. Charles Darwin's theory of evolution through natural selection, presented in the text on the origin of species, revolutionized our understanding of the natural world. Darwin demonstrated how species have evolved over time, adapting to their environment in order to survive. One of the seminal theories in evolution, we have gleaned much from this theoretical framework for understanding how life on Earth has changed and continues to change. What has been exciting for me is thinking of possibilities otherwise, where evolutionary processes also account for kinship across difference. While I'm not an evolutionary biologist, my invitation today is for us to consider how the more scientific discourses and practices of evolution could be adapted and applied to understanding how we relate in this age of fragility and sociopolitical flux today. Feminist scholars and activists Adrienne Marie Brown, Donna Haraway, and Robin Wall Kimmerer have unique perspectives on the concept of kinship. They allude to this idea of concentric ecology, which is an understanding of the interconnectedness of all life and the importance of creating relationships based on care, reciprocity, and interdependence. This perspective challenges traditional Darwinian ideas of evolution solely based on competition and survival of the fittest, and instead highlights the importance of cooperation and mutualism in the process of evolution. Brown's work, which gestures to stewarding more liberatory futures, is rooted in her understanding of emergent strategies. She writes in a feature in Yes magazine, quote, "Emergent strategy includes adaptation with intention, interdependence and decentralization, fractals, nonlinearity, and iteration, resilience through transformative justice, and creating more possibilities." How do we change in ways that increases our freedom and our compatibility with Earth? I will read that again. How do we change in ways that increase our freedom and our compatibility with Earth? I appreciate how her own conception of evolution, change, and emergence underscores attunement with ourselves and the world, paying attention to our habits of inaction. Brown states astutely, quote, "Attention is the difference between a life you observe from a distance, sometimes within your own body-mind, and a life you live." My work is also about change. How do we pivot from being victims of change to being shapers of it? Similarly, Donna Haraway encourages us to pay attention and name our processes that have been destructive and learn on the perspectives and sensibilities, namely from people in the margins who have been thinking seriously about stewarding an otherwise future that is not based on exploitation. In an interview, Haraway shares, and I quote, "The Anthropocene refuses to name the political and economic apparatus that drives the practices that are so destructive, and it treats the dilemma we're in as if our own natural evolutionary trajectory. That's simply not true. We act the way in historical conjunctions and systems that can be changed. It is not human nature that's the issue, but a situated historical metabolism with the planet in conditions that nurture extraction and extermination. Not all people have lived on Earth that way, and it doesn't have to be that way. It can still be changed. Close quote. Renowned botanist, ecologist, and author Robin Wall Kimmerer draws on her indigenous heritage to advocate for ecological restoration and to defer to non-human life that have preceded us. As an aside note, I encourage folks to read her work, Braiding Sweetgrass, if you haven't already done so. She writes, quote, in the Western tradition, there is a recognized hierarchy of beings, with, of course, the human being being on top. The pinnacle of evolution, the darling of creation, and the plants at the bottom. But in native ways of knowing, human people are often referred to as the younger brothers of creation. We say that human beings have the least experience with how to live, and thus the most to learn. We must look to our teachers among other species for guidance. Their wisdom is apparent in the ways that they live. They teach us by example. They've been on the earth far longer than we have been, and have had the time to figure things out. Close quote. So let us heed and continue practicing becoming with the natural world as a way of becoming worldly. Many scholars, thinkers, and even some of us ordinary folks have wondered with critical inquiry about the possibilities of experiences, knowledge, worlds beyond traditional theological and religious paradigms, like Darwin did. After having received formal theological formation, Darwin pursued knowledge, not in books, but through traveling, experimentation, and lived experience, all contained within the natural world. Darwin was a product of his time and social context, and we carry on with this legacy of intellectual generosity and rigorous inquiry with continued vigor towards evolutionary trajectories of intersectional understanding, freedom, justice, and liberation.
Let us rise in body or spirit for hymn number 151, I Wish I Knew How.
My sending words this morning are the following. May the entangledness of life and the light of naturalistic inquiry guide you, this community, and all of us into deeper explorations of our values, beliefs, and commitments. Ashe.
Sing in my heart all the stirrings of